Awesome. Thank you, Sherry. And congratulations to all of the 2020 graduates. Saddened we are not seeing you in person, but happy we get to see your faces through Zoom right now. So I am very excited to introduce two alumni who we have here today who are going to share a few words of wisdom. We were going to start first with Milan Selassie. He graduated from the daytime program in 2004 and is the CEO of Intelligent Media Productions. And he is joining us all the way from South Africa. And with that, Milan, I will let you go ahead and get started.
Thank you so very much, Ariel. Good afternoon, BLMBAO members of the Duke University Fuqua School of Business, graduating class of 2020. It is indeed humbling to be asked to say some words to some of the world's best and brightest business school students at one of the best business schools in the world. As a proud alum of both Duke's Trinity School of Arts and Sciences and the Fuqua School of Business, it is an honor to be a part of your auspicious occasion. I say humbling because, like you, I am still making my mark in the world. And since the book of my life is still being written, to share my thoughts with you as you prepare to embark on the next phase in your life is humbling and presents me with a feeling of immense gratitude to be here with you today. It is therefore necessary for me to express my gratefulness to Paul Williams, Ariel Powell, and the leadership of BLMBAO for allowing me this opportunity. And since I am seeing that Owen May is also here, I would be remiss to not give a special shout out to Owen May because he's had a tremendous impact on my life because he was the first person I worked for after graduating from college. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my friend Kara, who is one of the most outstanding and distinguished alums the school has produced. I first met her when I believe I was 23 or 24, so believe me when I say that you are all in for a treat. When I consider that 2020 marks the first time academic institutions around the world are having virtual graduations due to the COVID virus, I decided that I wanted to share 5 things that pertain to the current global environment and some lessons I've come to learn over the last 16 years since graduating from this wonderful academic institution. Number 1, this too shall pass. Once we remember a fundamental truth that there is nothing new under the sun, I believe it is easier to deal with and overcome many challenges that come before us. Though the circumstances, disaster levels, and names are different, be it the Spanish flu, the swine flu, Ebola, COVID, smallpox, measles, or even the bubonic plague, the elements of fear, trepidation, panic, and pandemonium have reared their ugly heads for the world to confront. And just as we have done in times past, we have shown our resilience and resourcefulness by adapting, adjusting, and approaching the challenges we faced with the strength and fortitude necessary to triumph over those very difficult times. 20 years ago in 2000, the dot-com bubble led to the recession of 2001, and that economic downturn led to global peak unemployment as the MBA class of 2003 was preparing to graduate. Since I was in the class of 2004, I witnessed firsthand how fear had affected many of those who had lost job offers or couldn't find employment. But eventually, they did, because bad times never last forever. It is always darkest before dawn. Similarly, in 2008, which coincidentally was the year I decided to pursue a career in movie production, the Great Recession occurred. And just like the recession of 2001, 1987, 1973 to 1975, and even the Great Depression of 1929, graduates all over the world found meaningful employment and new entrepreneurial ventures were created and thrived. I believe that if you ask those who weathered those storms, they would reveal that those tough times were defining points in their lives. And because they found a resolve they didn't know they had, this strength and determination that was forged in their personal fires helped carry them through other turbulent times. There's a truth to the saying that smooth seas never made a skillful sailor. The truth of the matter is that the world always bounces back. This is a fact of life. So do not allow the television news or current doomsday proclaimers convince you otherwise. Number 2, focus on your signal. Don't be distracted by your noise. During the fall semester of my second year at Fuqua, I spent it studying at the London School of Economics as a part of the IMEX exchange program that Fuqua had with LSE. This choice to study abroad in the fall versus the spring, however, came with significant risks because it meant that my being in London made it extremely difficult for me to get job offers when all the companies came to Duke's campus to recruit and were meeting the students who were not away. And since UK companies were primarily hiring UK citizens, I returned to campus in the spring without an offer. And since all the companies I was interested in had already selected their hires, I was apprehensive and pensive about my future. Unbeknownst to me at that time, this period would lead to me having a eureka moment and cause a career directional change that was unexpected and wouldn't have occurred had I not gone through this experience. I was forced to honestly ask myself what I really wanted to do, which gave me the freedom to explore my sincere interests without being encumbered by the desire to do what was expected of me by my family, or the need to gain the approval and respect of my fellow classmates, which is often rooted in which banking, consulting, or marketing jobs one received. For instance, there may be someone that started Fuqua with the sincere desire to have a career working in marketing or operations, but on a fluke, submitted their resume to a top-tier consulting and or iBanking firm, and to their surprise, received offers of employment. Because those job offers were highly valued by others, and not really by them, they chose a career others wished for themselves, but not what that specific person really wanted for him or herself. This is what I mean by focusing on your own signal and not being distracted by the noise. They were distracted by the frenetic cacophony of the crowd instead of quietly focusing on their signal, which is often very much mellifluous. This begs the question, how can one find their internal signal? In my case, it started with me asking myself two deceptively simple but complex questions. Complex because they caused me to peel back the layers of who I was and what I wanted for myself. Question number one, what makes me happy? Question number two, what kind of life do I want to live? What I realized was that freedom was at the core of my answers. As I applied these questions to what I wanted to do professionally, I worked backwards by asking myself which careers allowed me to address those questions. I decided that I wanted to pursue a career producing films. I still frequently ask myself those questions. I also ask other questions and calibrate them as needed. When my answers change, I make a change. So don't be afraid to ask yourself the tough existential questions, whether you are still in school, whether you're about to graduate, or whether you're 5 years into your professional career. And remember to be hyper vigilant and focusing on your signal and not be distracted by the noise, because the most expensive thing in life is regret. Number 3, don't be motivated by fear. Be motivated by hope. One of my favorite movies of all times is Shawshank Redemption. What I love about the movie is how fear and hope are personified in the two central characters. Red, played by Morgan Freeman, represents fear, and Andy Dufresne, played by Tim Robbins, represents hope. This is shown when Red early on tells Andy that hope is a dangerous thing. In fact, it can drive a man insane. And when Andy Dufresne later rebuts that by telling Red that hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies, you can feel it resonate deep within your spirit. What's beautiful is that we see at the very end of the movie how Red transforms from an institutionalized man who had previously succumbed to the trappings of fear to a man inspired by hope when he reflects and states on the bus on his way to Zihuatanejo, Mexico, "I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams. I hope." As you prepare for your new beginnings as Fuqua graduates, I encourage you to get
little niches in healthcare.
I encourage you to get busy living and not allow the fear of the world we are currently living in to infiltrate your own psyche, whereby causing you to unknowingly temper the optimism and sense of hope you rightfully should feel. and have earned at this very moment, because attitude really does determine altitude. Number 4, let me first preface what I'm about to say by acknowledging that I am aware that it may be unorthodox to address it during a graduation ceremony. But since hindsight is 2020, I feel it is necessary to share what I have learned so that it may be of use to some of you should you cross this point at some point in your life. And that is, it is okay to be vulnerable in love. Although I hope to one day, I've never been married or have children. I can provide several reasons and justify why that has been the case, but the real reason, if I'm being honest with myself, has been fear. The very thing I said you should not do in number 3. So when I advise you to not be motivated by fear, I speak from experience. Months after I decided to take a leap of faith and start producing films in 2008, the stock market crashed. My bank account was soon seeing fumes, and the prospect of raising capital for an alternative asset appeared on the surface at least very unlikely to a novice producer. In retrospect, I believe that the uncertainty in the market, coupled with the roles that I believed that men are supposed to play when they are dating someone seriously, created an insecurity within me and prevented me from allowing myself to be vulnerable and put myself out there. Who knows? Had I done so, I could have created this scenario for the right woman to come along, but I lacked the necessary courage to do so. I was unwilling to experience the pain of rejection because I was acutely aware that in spite of the degrees and work experience I had, my money just wasn't right. And as I worked hard to build my business, every time I met a woman and thought she was incredible, I could hear Erykah Badu telling me to call Tyrone, Beyonce asking if I could pay her bills, and TLC yelling no scrubs. I got in my own way and believed it was difficult to find someone who could see past the initial financial challenges and be encouraging to a serious, determined, and educated young entrepreneur. The irony is that people want to go to heaven, they just don't want to die to get there. Meaning, everyone wants someone to love them for who they really are, but are afraid to put themselves out there. So they create these really high walls that make it difficult to find genuine love. As you go back out into the real world, remember that one can't live on bread alone. In other words, accomplishments and money mean little if you are alone. COVID lockdown has shown us that humans desire and need connection. For those not yet married and are still single, I encourage you to be vulnerable and to not allow fear or your pride to affect your willingness to be in a relationship. And if being vulnerable leads to some hurt, it may be helpful to know that pain is simply the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. During your search, remember the importance of kindness, honesty, gentleness, being nice, and compassion. Because looks fade, and if it was all about how much money someone had, there would be a lot of happy basketball wives. By the way, these views are my own and not necessarily shared by the Fuqua School of Business or Duke University. Number 5, faith. At some point in your life, you will either go through or have gone and go through again extremely challenging times. Whether it is the loss of a loved one, a job, a business, your house, or close friendships, no person is immune. And many rely on a variety of methods to weather their personal storms. For some, it is alcohol. For others, it may be hard drugs. For me, it has been prayer and my relationship with God. I know that these are trying times for many of us, but I believe that with faith, environments like these highlight and separate the real champions from those who are merely players. During these moments, I hold on to the following biblical promises that help to sustain me during my own tough times. Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. Isaiah 41 verse 10, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Lastly, I would like to leave you with a few words paraphrased from Desiderata, one of my favorite poems that I believe is apropos given the world that we are presently living in. Remember to nurture strength of spirit, to shield you in sudden misfortune, and do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness, and beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. So be cheerful and strive to be happy. Congratulations and good luck, class of 2020.